changed a lot of my A's to sound more like my mother tongue A's. Um, I'm not I'm not so quick anymore to like correct myself if I mispronounce something that I know in my head I mispronounced. And you know, these ways that you've been conditioned resurface, you know. So there's always that pull, like, nope, you're gonna I'm not going to to listen to that conditioning anymore and just kind of like, okay, I said it like that and I'm okay with that, you know. Um, I think it's beautiful, especially because we have the space of translation. You know, we have so much to pull from. Um, it's beautiful we surrender to the process of unlearning and learning. And I think that that's what I would tell the immigrant. Uh, Not necessarily enter into a space, a new space with enough curiosity that you want to learn and you also want to leave a part of it. You want to weave yourself into the space, but don't do it in the way that it's going to erase you. That's the difference between assimilation. Assimilation really tries to, yeah, there's a great erasure that happens. I think any immigrant can go, any one of us can go somewhere and be curious about the place. So long as we have let me just backtrack a bit. So long as we have the space to be curious, a lot of us arrive here, and when you're getting fucking beaten and thrown into a cage, you don't have that experience, you know, of curiosity. If you're in a space where you can, I would say be curious in a way where you honor and revere the space that you newly find yourself in, while you simultaneously honor where you come from. Um,
Yeah, I think that has to be said because what happens, what I've seen is people come here and they automatically
sure.
adopt the USA branding as their own and they forget. And maybe, to an extent, my family did that until I realized, you know, I'm not authentic anymore. I'm pretending to not like my culture, my language. I want to be so accepted by
Yeah.
America to a point where that's really, I can't even speak out loud what I don't like about it because it's not acceptable,
Yeah.
And so when we do this work and we're now finally realizing that we're not going to cater to uh the American box that they've put us in, we become these rebels.
Yeah.
We become defiant. We become
Hmm.
ungrateful. And I wish I would have done this work so long ago where it was part of like my identity to be this rebel, this,
Hmm.
pro whatever you cultural you come from, retention,
Yeah.
all the stuff. But now it's like, oh, all these years you were fine being American until
Hmm.
and now you're just like a disruptor of
Hmm.
every space because culture goes with you everywhere, right?
Hmm.
So that to me is what I'm battling. And yeah, I wish I would have done this work so long ago and had someone to, a teacher or somebody to coach me into hold on to this. Um,
Yeah, and
and
I
then I
would,
question myself, my authenticity all the time. So I'm just wondering, do you feel authentic?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I would just also say before I answer the authenticity piece, that we do this a lot as human beings, right? When we arrive at a moment of clarity and vision, we do that. We say, "Oh gosh, I wish I would have done this a long time ago."
Mhm.
And the reason why we didn't do it a long time ago is because we didn't have the vision and the clarity, right? And so my invitation to you and to your listeners that find themselves in the same space as in the same place that you find yourself, a place where I found myself as well, is we are here at this moment because We lived through all of that. We are able to provide clarity and vision because it's enriched by this lived experience. How, from this moment, can we be of service to our communities? How can we interrupt those spaces of stagnation, of questioning, of doubt, of whatnot? I think it is a gift, that we have arrived at this space when we did. I really do believe in timing, you know.
Mhm.
We're not the only ones holding this burden, over us. Thankfully, there were those that came before us. And so, and we are now, and we're helping those that will come after us. So I would say that the richness that you present today is a result of what you lived, the clarity that you're going to continue to polish, if you will, is because of everything that you weave. And not just you, but your ancestors, you and your family and the lineage that keeps on going and going and going. Now, the matter of authenticity, yeah, I feel very authentic. I feel very authentic. And mainly, I take pride in that rebellious spirit. Yes, we are rebels, and I wear that as a badge of honor. Um, I mean, it's part of my bio. I I want to cultivate revolutions. Yes. I feel that I am a type of person that I push back on the things that just don't sit right with me. And that sheer action already dismantles so many things. Just pushing back on language, on narratives, all of that. That's not what I was meant to do as a person that lives here, even as a global citizen, you know, um, because patriarchy is pretty much everywhere right now. So yeah, of course I'm very rebellious. Of course I'm dangerous, whatever you want to call it. And I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. I love it because if being my authentic self, if saying no when it matters, if setting boundaries, if reclaiming my voice, my stories, those of my mother, those of my ancestors, those of my people, um, if fighting the good fight with my siblings, my global siblings, from yeah, from I was just gonna say from now and forever, like if doing that kind of work is what makes me a problem, then you can write problem with a capital P.
I love it.
Actually, when I was getting my dissertation, the joke was my middle name was Trouble, because Talia is a T, and so people would call me T because that's also a short, but T for trouble. So
Yeah, I don't look at it as a positive thing. I like the way you said that, like, your foundation is so solid that they can call you whatever you want. You know who you are and you know what you're out to do, and trouble will come. It's just part of the territory, right? Uh, being argumentative, maybe, you know, um, all those things.
yeah.
So tell me how tell us what cultural anthropology activism, you're
Uh-huh.
calling it anthropology activism. What is that? And what is the where is the institution now?
Yeah, so as a discipline, I would call it, so the degree that I have is in militant anthropology, or, militant is one of those words that people kind of are afraid of. So, uh, it's also called activist anthropology. And basically, what activist anthropology does is that it subverts, if you will, the original intent of anthropology as it started as a European white male coming into these tribal areas, if you will, to study tribal people, and dehumanize them so that later they can conquer them. Uh,
It's like to
Base,
study them to find out what their weakness is
pretty much,
or
yeah.
what they,
They
how
infiltrate.
to influence them.
Yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that you read like early anthropology, ethnographies, early anthropological work, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking insulting. So basically, activist anthropology pushes back on that, and it pushes back. You mentioned institutions, so it pushes back on the institution of academia. And number one, as a study of culture and people, what it says is there's no really such thing as a passive observer. We all influence each other, right? So it requires us to really be a participant in whatever it is that we choose to study from within. It's not as an outsider, an observer that doesn't influence anything. So one of the things that culture anthropology, excuse me, that activist anthropology studies is systems, right? Systems of oppression, just various social systems. And so you will find that a lot of the things that an activist anthropology does is that they join sort of like a movement, if you will, or there's whatever piece they're wanting to share and to share knowledge from, it's going to have a social justice um, thread to it. It must, if you will. The other piece of militant cultural, sorry, activist anthropology is that, academia, because it is historically a white institution, white male institution.
So wait, let's pause for a second. Academia, um, are you saying academia stems from just European empires? Was it not part of uh academia in terms of institution was never anywhere else beforehand?
No, 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 I wouldn't say that. No. And I'm just strictly speaking to how academia as an institution in the United States has been used, and yeah, sure, in conjunction with the European um, uh, empire, we can say as well. Yeah. So, yeah, this is not to say that institutions of knowledge did not exist in other spaces. Of course they did. This is just solely here, academia as understood within the U.S. and Europe, and anthropology as one of those studies and disciplines that comes out of these spaces. Um, so yeah, so going back to the idea of activist anthropology, academia as an institution that safeguards, if you will, knowledge, always says that the knowledge comes out of those spaces and then goes out to the people, if you will, certain peoples, right? And so what activist anthropology does is says, no, we co-create knowledge outside of it. And then we bring it into the academy to share. But we're already bringing the voices of all of those that are not within the academy. And by doing that, you dismantle a lot of the walls that keep knowledge that traditionally has been safeguarded within the walls of academia. You now have you're able to share it, right? You don't necessarily because you've produced a body of knowledge, which is your dissertation, all the work that you come in with or that you do, because you did it outside with a group of people, you co-wrote it, you co-produced this body of knowledge, and then you bring it in and you share it with the institution, if you will. That's a very big shift. That's a very big shift in anthropology.
Yeah, it
Um,
used to be go somewhere, learn, bring it back, figure out how we can make money or, you know, yeah, I definitely didn't. I started anthropology going, learning about humans.
Yeah.
And then now